Can you still hear the low, throaty rumble of a V8 engine when you close your eyes? Or remember the thrill of your hand gliding over chrome-trimmed dashboards and sticky vinyl seats on a summer road trip? The 1970s brought an unmistakable swagger to American roads, bold muscle cars, flashy decals, and wide grilles announcing your arrival before you even turned the corner. There was an attitude in the air, a time when a shiny Pontiac Trans Am or a fire-red Chevy Camaro wasn't just a way to get from point A to B, it was a statement of freedom and individuality. Every drive-in parking lot seemed to sparkle with wild paint jobs, chunky mag wheels, and cassette tapes blaring the Eagles or Fleetwood Mac. Remember rolling down the window, elbow perched on the edge, feeling that rush of wind as you cruised under neon signs. These cars had personalities as big as the drivers themselves, each one a piece of art and rebellion. So what made these rides so unforgettable, and why do they stay parked in our hearts even now? Let's ignite that engine of memory and set off on a journey through the golden era of American automobiles. The story of 1970s classic cars begins at a crossroads of American culture and industry, a moment of bold ambition and sudden change, where sculpted steel and rebellious spirit met head-on with the realities of a rapidly shifting world. Picture yourself pulling into Main Street in 1969, perhaps behind the wheel of a Dodge Charger or Ford Mustang, the sun bouncing off the hood and the whole world feeling wide open. But as the new decade dawned, it was clear that the party wasn't going to last forever. At the start of the 70s, American car companies were still basking in the glory kicked off by the muscle car explosion of the late 60s. The baby boom generation was coming of driving age, eager for fast rides and wild weekends, leading to a furious competition among automakers. Chevrolet, Ford, Pontiac, Dodge, and Plymouth. These were not just brands, they were identities worn like a badge. But even as they rolled out bold new models with ever larger engines, storm clouds were gathering on the automotive horizon. Did you know that by 1971, over 14 million vehicles per year were coming off domestic assembly lines? Detroit's Big Three were at the height of their powers, churning out cars for an America that couldn't get enough horsepower. The era's television commercials practically dared drivers to go further, faster, with slogans like, "The Great American Road belongs to Buick," and "Ford has a better idea." People looked at their wheels as a rite of passage, a reward for hard work, and a way to express their individuality all at once. But the early 70s also marked a subtle, unsettling shift beneath the chrome and bravado. Congress passed new mandates to address growing concerns over air pollution, which meant early emission regulations started to hit the drawing boards in Detroit. You might remember hearing about the Environmental Protection Agency, established in 1970, and the new unleaded fuel showing up at gas stations, trends that would reshape the automotive landscape in ways few could have predicted at the time. Even more impactful was the 1973 oil crisis, when suddenly gas wasn't cheap or abundant anymore. Waiting in long lines just to fill up your tank became a real and jarring part of everyday American life. Many car lovers are surprised to learn that the horsepower ratings for some iconic models dropped to almost half their previous output after 1970, thanks to stricter regulations and changes in gasoline. The mighty 427 cubic-inch engines that had powered Camaros and Corvettes through the late 60s gave way to smaller, detuned blocks in response to federal pressure. Suddenly, it wasn't just about how fast you could go, but how far and how cleanly you could get there. How did you feel the first time you noticed your favorite model lost some of its roar, or when you were advised to use a new gas blend? Was it disappointment, or did the love affair with the car endure no matter what? Another remarkable shift involved changes in styling and safety. The federal government, concerned with rising traffic fatalities, ushered in new safety standards that dictated reinforced bumpers, seatbelt requirements, and revised dashboard designs. Gone were the razor-sharp fins and delicate chrome details of the 50s and 60s. By the early 70s, cars started to look leaner, chunkier, and more angular, trading some of their delicate curves for a tougher, more purposeful aesthetic. Some enthusiasts still debate whether the addition of steel-belted radial tires or roll cages was a sign of progress or an erosion of old-school freedom. What do you remember about feeling safe or vulnerable behind the wheel back then? Amid all this, automakers got creative. To keep sales booming, they started adding more personality and pizzazz to their cars than ever before. Eye-popping paint colors like Plum Crazy Purple and Go Mango Orange turned even a parked car into an attention grabber. Racing stripes, hood scoops, and spoilers became a common sight even in suburban driveways. You didn't just own a car, you embodied its character, whether a rebel, hotshot, or free spirit. But the early 70s weren't just about style or raw power. They were an inflection point where everything seemed to accelerate and slow down at the same time. The muscle car peaked and, almost overnight, began to shrink in the rearview mirror, replaced by a growing interest in compact imports and fuel efficiency. Japanese cars from Honda, Toyota, and Datsun started to gain traction, offering reliability and thrift at a time when gas station lines stretched around the block. Imagine the conversations in your own neighborhood, some neighbors fiercely loyal to their Chevys and Fords, others eyeing the little imports with curiosity or perhaps quiet frustration. Still, the aura of those early 70s American classics endured. Even as new laws reshaped the way cars were built, the designs from this time have come to represent the very soul of their era: brash, daring, unapologetically unique. If you've ever opened the heavy door of a 72 Pontiac Firebird or felt the purr of a Chevy Nova as it idled at a stoplight, you know exactly what I mean. Did you ever name your own car or give it a personality like a rebellious partner in crime on endless summer nights? Surprisingly, even as muscle cars waned in the US, some of the most iconic models ever made debuted in the early 70s. Think of the 1970 Chevelle SS 454 or the Plymouth Cuda, both now legendary for their blend of speed, style, and attitude. Yet production numbers began to dwindle. Many of these models became rare overnight, leading to a surge in demand decades later among collectors. Who would have guessed back then that those endangered species would someday fetch six-figure prices at auction? As the first years of the 70s rolled on, America's love affair with the road shifted gears but never really ended. Car clubs formed, swap meets flourished, and an entire culture of restoration and customization started brewing in garages and driveways coast to coast. Despite, or perhaps because of, the external pressures, car enthusiasts grew more passionate about preserving what made their rides so special. But the road didn't end there. As automakers navigated this complex, changing landscape, they didn't just adapt, they innovated. New features promised comfort, convenience, and just a touch of space-age magic. Curious about which high-tech marvels appeared under the hood or on the dashboard in the 70s, and how these changes influenced the way we drove and remembered these rolling works of art. Fasten your seatbelt, because the story of 70s classic car technology is about to take us on an unforgettable ride. As we park this journey through the unforgettable classic cars of the 1970s, it becomes clear that these machines were far more than mere modes of transportation. They were reflections of an era, a time when the American road felt limitless, possibility hummed beneath the hood, and every Sunday wash in the driveway was an act of pride. From the imposing muscle cars roaring across summer blacktops to the shimmering custom paint jobs that made each Model Uniquely Yours, we explored an era that pulsed with creativity, individuality, and a touch of rebellion. The transformation of car culture during the 70s was nothing short of astonishing. We saw how the massive horsepower of late 60s legends gave way to new priorities as fuel shortages and environmental regulations rolled in. Manufacturers responded with both challenges and ingenuity, adapting their designs and technologies to meet the changing world, yet never quite losing the spirit that made these vehicles so iconic. Candy-colored paint, flashy stripes, and growling engines became instantly recognizable signatures, and even as the muscle cars began to fade, the 70s still found ways to make each drive an adventure. We traced how safety and comfort features, bucket seats, T-tops, 8-track players, crept onto the scene, and how Japanese imports began quietly but steadily sharing space in American garages. Through all these changes, what endured was something deeper: the way cars connected us to the people and places we loved. They were backdrops for first dates, laughter-filled road trips, and the kind of open-road dreaming that leaves tire tracks on our memories. More than just a hunk of metal, a classic car was a companion, a witness to coming-of-age adventures and family milestones alike. Looking back now, it's impossible not to feel a sense of gratitude for those moments when a full tank, a trusted playlist, and nothing but open highway ahead symbolized pure freedom. There's a reason these cars still inspire admiration and reverence at car shows and in movies. They capture a spirit of craftsmanship and optimism that is increasingly rare in our fast-paced digital world. How many times have you found yourself transported by the sight, sound, or even smell of a classic car, a snapshot from a simpler, wilder era when every journey seemed to matter a little more? Perhaps the true legacy of 1970s classic cars is how they continue to unite us, those who remember them firsthand and those discovering their magic for the first time, reminding us that innovation doesn't always mean letting go of the past. So, what's the memory that comes roaring back for you? Was it the growl of an engine echoing down your childhood street, the glow of dashboard lights on a late-night drive, or the pride of polishing every curve to a high shine? Share your favorite classic car moments in the comments. Let's keep these stories on the road and celebrate the community that loves them still. If you enjoyed reliving this chapter of automotive history, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with a friend whose heart still beats a little faster at the thought of a vintage ride. More nostalgic journeys are just over the horizon. After all, while the world keeps changing, memories of the open road and the cars that carried us remain timeless, just waiting for the turn of a key and the promise of the next adventure.